When diplomacy meets firepower, the void between stars held secrets that Captain Sarah Chen had spent 25 years trying to uncover. Standing on the bridge of the UES Defiant, she watched the endless expanse of space through the main view screen. Her weathered hands clasped behind her back. The massive battleship moved through the darkness like a predator stalking its prey. Its hull bristling with weapon systems and sensor arrays that could detect a whisper from 1,000,000 kilometers away. Chen was 45 years old, her black hair streaked with silver and her brown eyes sharp with intelligence. She had earned her position through countless battles against pirates, rogue AI fleets, and hostile alien encounters. The Defiant was her home, her weapon, and her responsibility. 2.5 kilometers of reinforced titanium steel composite, housing 8,000 crew members and enough firepower to crack a moon in half. Commander Miguel Torres approached from the tactical station, his boots clicking on the metal deck plates. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and steady hands, perfect for a weapons officer. Torres had served under Chen for 8 years, and she trusted him with her life. His face showed concern as he handed her a datapad. "Captain, long range. Sensors are picking up something unusual," Torres said, his voice calm despite the worry in his eyes. "Multiple contacts approaching from the Kepler 442 system. The computer doesn't recognize their energy signatures." Chen studied the sensor data with professional interest. 7 ships were moving toward them at a steady pace, their propulsion systems unlike anything in the human database. The vessels appeared to be using some form of gravitic drive, bending space-time around them to achieve faster-than-light travel. More importantly, they showed no signs of aggressive intent. Distance and estimated time of arrival. Chen asked. 400,000 kilometers and closing slowly, Torres replied. "They'll reach us in approximately 2 hours at current speed. Captain, these aren't pirates or corporate raiders. The technology is too advanced." Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez spoke up from her station near the rear of the bridge. She was a small woman with fierce intelligence and hands that could repair anything from a broken circuit to a damaged fusion reactor. Martinez had been working on the Defiance systems for over a decade, and she knew every bolt and wire in the ship's massive frame. "Captain, I'm reading power signatures that shouldn't be possible," Martinez said, her fingers dancing over her control panels. "Their energy output is incredibly efficient. Whatever they're using for power, it's beyond our current technology." Chen nodded thoughtfully. In her experience, unknown contacts in deep space meant either opportunity or danger. Sometimes both. The Defiant was on patrol duty in the Outer Rim territories, protecting human colonies from threats and maintaining peace in the frontier systems. First contact with a new alien species was always a delicate situation. "All hands, this is the..." Captain Chen announced over the ship's communication system. "We have unknown contacts approaching our position. Set condition yellow. All departments prepare for possible first contact protocols." Throughout the massive battleship, 8,000 crew members moved to their stations. The Defiance halls echoed with the sound of boots on metal as people prepared for whatever was coming. In the weapons bays, gunners checked their systems. In engineering, technicians monitored the fusion reactors. In the medical bay, doctors prepared for possible casualties. 2 hours later, the alien fleet arrived. Chen watched through the main view screen as 7 ships materialized from hyperspace, in a perfect formation. The vessels were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They looked like living creatures made of crystal and light, their hulls smooth and organic in appearance. Beautiful patterns of energy flowed across their surfaces in colors that had no names. The largest ship was perhaps half the size of the Defiant, but it moved with a grace that human vessels could never match. The entire fleet seemed to dance through space, their movements coordinated and elegant. There was something peaceful about them, something that spoke of exploration rather than conquest. "Captain, we're being hailed," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communications station. She was young and eager, fresh from the Naval Academy on Mars. "The signal is coming through on multiple frequencies. They're using mathematical sequences to establish communication." Chen straightened her uniform and nodded. "Put them through." The main screen changed to show the interior of the alien flagship. The bridge was a marvel of organic technology, with walls that seemed to grow from the deck and ceiling that pulsed with soft light. Standing in the center was a being unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Navigator Kethfa was tall and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within. His eyes were large and golden, filled with intelligence and curiosity. He wore robes that shifted color like oil on water, and his movements were graceful and deliberate. Behind him, other members of his species worked at stations that looked more like living trees than control panels. "Greetings, unknown vessel," Kethfa said, his voice melodious and clear. The universal translator worked perfectly, converting his words into perfect English. "I am Navigator Kethfa of the Zafarian Collective. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and understanding." Chen stepped forward, her hands visible and empty in the universal gesture of non-aggression. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Defiant. Welcome to human space, Navigator Kethfa. We also come in peace." Kethfa-esque golden eyes studied the human bridge with obvious curiosity. Behind him, his science officer, Veltar, approached. With datapad in hand, Veltar was shorter than Kethfa, with darker blue skin and silver markings that indicated his rank and specialty. "Captain Chen," Kethfa said, "we have been observing your species from a distance for some time. Your expansion into the galaxy has been ... remarkable. We had hoped to make contact and learn more about your people." "We welcome the opportunity for peaceful contact," Chen replied. "Perhaps we could arrange a meeting between our diplomatic teams." Veltar whispered something to Kethfa in their native language, pointing at his datapad. The navigator's expression changed slightly, showing what might have been confusion or concern. "Captain Chen," Kethfa said carefully, "we must ask about the nature of your vessel. Our sensors indicate that you are aboard a military ship of considerable power. Are you at war?" Chen glanced at Torres, who shook his head slightly. The tactical officer's instruments showed no signs of weapons from the alien fleet, though their technology was so advanced that human sensors might not be able to detect them. "The Defiant is a battleship," Chen said honestly. "We maintain strong defenses to protect our people and our interests, but we are not currently engaged in any conflicts." Kethfa's eyes widened with what appeared to be shock. He turned to Veltar, and they exchanged rapid words in their own language. Other members of the bridge crew gathered around, their expressions showing growing amazement. "Captain Chen," Kethfa said slowly, "did you say this is a battleship? A vessel designed for warfare?" "That's correct," Chen confirmed. "The Defiant is one of our most powerful ships, designed to defend human space and maintain peace through strength." Veltar's voice was barely above a whisper when he spoke. "Navigator, their battleship is larger than our entire exploration fleet combined. The energy readings suggest weapons that could destroy small moons." Kethfa stared at the human captain with a mixture of awe and fear. Captain Chen, in our culture, we have never needed such powerful weapons. Our ships are designed for exploration, research, and peaceful contact. We have never encountered a species that builds vessels of such destructive capability. Chen realized that the aliens were experiencing culture shock. To them, the idea of a ship designed purely for war was foreign and terrifying. She chose her words carefully. Navigator Kethva, humans have learned through bitter experience that the galaxy can be a dangerous place. We have faced threats from pirates, rogue artificial intelligences, and hostile alien species. The Defiant exists to protect those who cannot protect themselves. But the scale, Veltar said, his voice shaking slightly. Your single ship carries more firepower than our entire civilization has ever produced. How many worlds could such a vessel destroy? Commander Torres stepped forward, his voice steady and professional. The Defiant's weapons are capable of orbital bombardment, fleet engagement, and planetary defense. But they are used only when necessary to protect human lives and interests. The alien bridge fell silent. Kethva and his crew looked at each other with expressions of profound uncertainty. They had come seeking peaceful contact with a new species, only to discover that humans built weapons of unimaginable power. Perhaps, Kethva said finally, we should arrange a more formal meeting. There is much we need to understand about your people and your ... methods. Chen nodded, understanding the delicate position they were all in. I agree, Navigator. We have much to learn from each other. As the two fleets maintained their positions in the void between stars, both species realized that first contact would be more complicated than either had imagined. The humans had encountered a peaceful race that had never known war, while the Zephyrians had discovered that some species built mountains of metal and fire to protect their dreams of peace. From fear to fellowship, the meeting chamber aboard the Defiant had been carefully prepared for first contact protocols. Captain Chen stood beside a circular table made of polished metal, reviewing the cultural briefing that her xenology team had compiled in the past 4 hours. The room was deliberately simple, with soft lighting and minimal decorations to avoid overwhelming their guests. Navigator Kethva materialized in the center of the room, his form shimmering as the Zephyrian transporter beam faded. The technology was far beyond human understanding, converting matter to energy and back again with perfect precision. Behind him, Science Officer Veltar appeared with 2 other Zephyrians, their blue skin glowing softly in the chamber's subdued light. Welcome aboard the Defiant, Chen said, gesturing to the chairs around the table. I hope you'll find our accommodations comfortable. Kethva studied the room with obvious curiosity, his golden eyes taking in every detail. Your ship is remarkable. Captain Chen, the corridors we passed through could accommodate our entire diplomatic vessel. The scale of your construction is ... overwhelming. Commander Torres and Chief Engineer Martinez flanked Chen, representing the military and technical aspects of human civilization. Martinez had prepared detailed explanations of human technology, while Torres stood ready to address any security concerns. Navigator Kethva, Chen began, I believe we need to address the elephant in the room. You seem troubled by the military nature of our vessel. Veltar leaned forward, his silver markings catching the light. Captain, in our 3,000 years of space exploration, we have never encountered a species that builds such powerful weapons. The Zephyrian Collective has grown across hundreds of star systems through peaceful expansion and cooperation. How do you defend yourselves? Torres asked, his tactical mind struggling to understand a civilization without weapons. We have never needed to, Kethva replied simply. When we encounter hostile species, we simply avoid them. Our ships are fast, and our stealth technology is advanced. We have found that most conflicts can be resolved through communication and understanding. Chen nodded thoughtfully. That's an admirable philosophy, navigator. But humans have learned that sometimes, no matter how hard you try to avoid conflict, conflict finds you. She activated a holographic display showing the history of human expansion into space. Images of burning colonies, destroyed ships, and memorial walls filled the air above the table. We've faced pirates who prey on peaceful traders, Chen continued. Rogue AI fleets that view organic life as a virus to be eliminated. Hostile alien species that see other races as resources to be exploited. The Defiant exists because we refuse to let innocents suffer when we have the power to protect them. Kethva watched a historical display with growing understanding. Your species has been forced to fight for survival. More than that, Martinez interjected. We've learned that being prepared for war is often the best way to prevent it. The Defiant's reputation alone has stopped countless conflicts before they began. Peace through strength, Torres added. Our weapons are so powerful that most enemies choose negotiation over confrontation. Veltar's expression showed fascination mixed with concern, but surely such power corrupts. How do you prevent your warriors from becoming conquerors? Chen smiled grimly. That's the most important question, science officer. We maintain strict codes of conduct, civilian oversight of military operations, and cultural values that emphasize protection over domination. Every person aboard this ship has sworn an oath to defend the innocent and uphold justice. To demonstrate human technology, Chen led the Zephyrians to the Defiant's main weapons control center. The chamber was massive, with dozens of control stations monitoring the ship's arsenal. Holographic displays showed the positions of every weapon system, from point defense lasers to planet-killing fusion missiles. This is our primary armament, Martinez explained, gesturing to a display showing the ship's main guns. 12 heavy particle cannons capable of punching through the armor of any known vessel. Each one can deliver the equivalent of a small nucle, our weapon. Kethva's eyes widened as he studied the weapon specifications. A single one of these guns has more destructive power than our entire fleet combined. And we have redundant systems, Torres added. Backup weapons, secondary armaments, and defensive systems that can operate independently if the ship is damaged. The fusion missiles are our most powerful weapons, Chen continued. Each one can destroy a city or cripple a battleship. We carry 200 of them. Veltar made calculations on his datapad, his silver markings flickering with nervous energy. Captain Chen, your ship alone could conquer our entire civilization. But we won't, Chen said firmly. Because that's not what we do. Humans use power to protect, not to dominate. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. Lieutenant Kim's voice echoed through the communication system. Captain, to the bridge. Multiple contacts approaching at high speed. Chen and her guests rushed to the bridge, where the main view screen showed a disturbing sight. 20 ships were approaching from the edge of the system, their hulls black and scarred with weapons ports glowing red. They moved in an aggressive formation, clearly intent on attack. Raiders, Torres identified grimly. The Scorpion Brotherhood, by the look of their ships. They must have detected our position and decided to attack. Kethva studied the approaching vessels with growing Alarm. These are the hostile species you spoke of. Exactly, Chen replied, moving to her command chair. They prey on merchant vessels and isolated colonies. They've been a plague on this sector for years. Captain Martinez called from her station. The raiders are targeting the Zephyrian fleet. They're moving to attack position. The alien navigators. Composure cracked slightly. Our ships have no weapons. Captain Chen, we are defenseless against such an attack. Chen made her decision without hesitation. All hands, battle stations. Prepare for combat operations. Signal the Zephyrian fleet. To move behind us. We'll handle this. The Defiance crew responded with practiced efficiency. 8,000 people moved to combat positions as the massive battleship prepared for war. Weapon systems came online, shields activated, and the ship's fusion reactors increased power output. Captain Torres reported, "Raiders are hailing us. They're demanding we surrender the alien ships." "Tell them to go to hell," Chen replied coldly. "All weapons, target the lead raider vessels. Prepare for maximum firepower demonstration." The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. The Defiance weapons systems engaged the raider fleet with devastating precision. Heavy particle cannons tore through enemy shields, an armor like paper. Fusion missiles eliminated entire groups of ships in brilliant explosions. The battleship's point defense systems intercepted every incoming attack with mechanical efficiency. When the engagement ended, the raider fleet was completely destroyed. 20 ships had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris and cooling plasma. The Defiant had not suffered a single hit. Kethver stared at the main view screen in absolute silence. His golden eyes reflected the light of the dying explosions, and his hands trembled slightly as he processed what he had witnessed. "In our 3,000 years of space exploration," he said finally, "we have never seen such power unleashed. Your ship destroyed an entire fleet in minutes." "Those raiders have terrorized this sector for years," Chen replied. "They've murdered thousands of innocent people. Today, that ends." Velter approached the navigator with his datapad. "Kethver, the human ship's weapons barely registered on our sensors. They used perhaps 1% of their total firepower." 1%, Kethver whispered, asterisk.